If you have an interest in horses and love learning more about horses, the horse industry, teaching, or even managing your own horse business, then you're in the right place. We would love you to join us on our mission, which is to improve the lives of horses around the world through the education of riders, handlers, and trainers. So get comfortable, listen in, and enjoy.
Today at Horse Chat, we're going to talk to Christoph Hess again, who's luckily for us become a regular guest on Horse Chats. Very well qualified dressage judge and coach, and we really look forward to talking to him about our chat today, which is about leg yield and shoulder in and the confusion between the two, and no one better qualified than Christoph. But before we do that, I'd just like to remind you about International Horse College, and they support safe methods of educating riders, handlers and trainers about horse welfare. If safety and horse welfare are important to you, then have a look at the flexible course options at internationalhorsecollege.com. Now today, Christoph, how are you?
Yeah, thank you very much indeed. I'm fine. It's very early in Germany. It's about 10 minutes to 7 a.m. It's dark, and we are on the way to get winter. We have autumn here, and it's not chilly. It is 3 or 4 degrees plus now at this time of the day, Celsius of the day, and it start the new week. The day will start. The new week will start over with a good one. We have still corona, and we have people infection. Plus more than 20,000 the last days, every day in Germany, and we have a kind of a lockdown, and it's not possible that we have horse competitions with spectators. We have some competitions in Germany, mainly with professionals. Some parts of Germany are allowed amateurs to come as well. But it's a strange situation, and I know this is just in Germany the situation, but it's abroad similar, and we have in some countries much more restrictions because of Corona, and with 19 more Germany. But you feel it every day, and you have to wear masks. What we know in the old days, just from people from Asia, in Europe as well. And it is a strange situation, but it's a handled situation. And people, not allowed to go into restaurants, not allowed. Other restaurants are closed, not hotels. Hotels closed. I will have a clinic tomorrow in Lumülen, which is south of Hamburg, a big city. And but very small pieces are coming together, but in general, everything is more or less locked down.
Okay, all right. Well, it certainly affects everyone, not just the horse world. You know, we don't have as many changes, but there's certainly changes. Yes.
I just was talking from the position of the horse world. I know that you had it in a similar way, and Melbourne was very much part of your country where it was difficult, as I know a couple of months ago. But it's great that you're coming the hot season, the summer season, and this makes life easier with Corona. Yes, I think.
Now, Christoph, today we're talking about leg yield and shoulder in, and I know because I suppose as a rider myself, I was confused between leg yield and shoulder in, and I know as a judge sometimes it's difficult to tell the difference between. Is this leg yield, or are they really doing shoulder in, when they're supposed to be doing shoulder in, or is that more leg yield? And then certainly as a coach. So I'd love to talk about leg yield and shoulder in. First of all, what is leg yield and what is shoulder in? So are you able to just say this is leg yield and this is shoulder in, and what we should be looking for in the difference between the two? Because you think you've got it sorted, you think all the judges are sorted, all the riders are sorted, and then all of a sudden you've got new riders coming through and new coaches coming through, and it's the whole education process over again to educate the difference between leg yield and shoulder in. Yep.
First of all, I have to say it looks very similar. You look to a horse alongside, forehand, from the track's point of view a little bit. This looks just when you're not very careful to this movement, which you have to ride normally a trot. Looks very similar, shoulder in and yielding when you do it in the similar way. But there's a big difference. And first of all, I have to say leg yielding is a movement which is used to ride a horse in the beginning of a lesson, mainly for relaxation and suppleness. And the German word is Durchlässigkeit, throughness, that the horse is obedient and is accepting the sideways leg, which is, from my point of view, very, very important. In one of my lessons, I said the horse has to learn, in the podcast, I said that the horse has to learn to accept the driving aids, the forward driving aids, step 1, and step 2, the sideways driving aids. And leg yielding is a perfect movement to school the sideways driving aids. And this is it's a good exercise for the rider to learn how much influence I have to have with my leg sideways direction. That's the first step. And the second step is it's very good for the horse to learn, because the more the horse is accepting the sideways leg, the more the horse is obedient, the more the horse is in a positive way under the control of the rider, the more the horse is in a good concentration to the rider's aids and the situation under the saddle. Well, that's, I think, the point which is necessary. That's we have to realize as step number 1. Therefore, I say always, and I will have in Germany a webinar in a couple of days about half passes and shoulder in. I said I start my session not with shoulder in as the first movement before I do half passes altogether in a family of work. As part of the family lateral work. I start with leg yielding. And I think that's very important as a first step, that the horse is accepting the sideways aids. So that's what the rider has to learn, what the horse has to learn. And then when I now look from the judge's point of view at the long side and someone is riding leg yielding at the long side, and then I give the advice, go to the end of the long side, and then you will see 4 legs. The outside front leg, the outside hind leg, the inside front leg, and the inside hind leg. You can see all 4 legs. Now, the important part comes: the horse is straight, no, this is not a good word. The horse is not bent. The horse is straight, not bent, but the horse has flexion. And flexion is just, I would say now the word bending, just between neck and head. Only there the horse has bending, therefore, but not through the whole body. That's a big difference. Just there, it's the horse is straight, but has flexion. And now, or do you have a question before I start to explain shoulder in, the difference to shoulder in?
No, I think just going over it though, leg yield then is for relaxation. We teach the horse the forward driving aids, then we teach them the sideways driving aids. And then the judge, as a judge, if someone's judging, looking at leg yield, they should see the 4 legs and the horse is not bent. And they should have flexion but not bend.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
that's it.
Okay. Yes.
And you in walk and trot. I'm just yesterday helping a little bit for you FEI eventing the tests, and we have 1 star and 2 star tests, the lower level tests. And I said, from my point of view, it's good exercise to have in one-star eventing test leg yield in walk, and in two-star eventing test leg yield in trot. So therefore, these are for me really very good exercises on lower levels in competitions and mainly at home in the training situation. So that's it. What I just want to explain. So that's very good that you have given a short summary. What's the point of leg yielding? So now, shoulder in. Shoulder in is part, and I will repeat the word, part of the lateral movements family. And in this family, I would say, or in this group, we have shoulder in, we have half passes, and we have trap and renvers. So, and in this family of lateral work exercises, the horses flexed and bent. And I have to say that flexion is part of bending. When I say flexion, the horse is straight and has just a short thing, just bending between neck and head. But when I talk about bending, that's bending the whole body, neck and the whole back. And in the neck, and that is the secret, the horse is not bent than in the body, in the back. And this is the very first step. When you look to half passes, horses are bent into the direction of the movement. And in shoulder in, the horse is bent against the direction of the movement. On the left hand, horse is bent to the left side and moves into the right direction. This is what we have to realize. And in tests, we only have shoulder in trot, and maybe we can prepare it in walk. Mainly, we do it in trot. And for me, shoulder in is a very important key movement, which you have to do very, very often with your horses, to school your horses, to give them straightness, to give them more elasticity, horses start to be more obedient, horses use more the body. And now I will explain how does shoulder in look like. When I said that in leg yielding, when you are sitting as a judge, as an example, at the end of the long side at M or at H, then you see when there is leg yielding, you see 4 legs, and I explained which legs you see. And now in shoulder in, and if it's written properly by the rider, you only see when you are sitting M or at H, 3 legs. And the first leg, what you're seeing is you see right front leg, you see the inside front leg, and you see the outside hind leg. What you don't see, if it's done properly, you don't see the inside hind leg. The inside hind leg, I will underline it, because the inside hind leg, where the horse uses the inside hind leg into the direction of the outside front leg. And why is this so important that the horse is doing it in this way? The horse is doing it when the horse is using the leg into this direction, the inside hind leg more under the center of gravity. And then the leg is more used, comes more under. With the inside leg, the horse is carrying more weight. And this is for the horse a very, very good exercise, looking from the gymnastic point of view. So therefore, that's a very, very useful exercise, and everybody should do it. You can start to ride exercises like this when the horse is quite young, but you have to ask before you do this for leg yielding. So the leg yielding is the preparation for shoulder in when you do it in the right way, but shoulder in, if you are able to ride a proper leg yielding, shoulder in is more useful. Shoulder in is more a true challenge for the horse and for the sensitivity of the rider to giving the right aids when he is schooling the horse. And when you look at the whole process of training horses in all directions, in the pure dressage direction, in the show jumping direction, the eventing direction, it is key movement, and no rider in the world will ride and train his horse without using a very, very important movement of shoulder.
I think not only have you talked about the difference there, you've talked about the importance and how shouldering is such a key movement when we're riding and training our horse. So, starting with leg yield, but shouldering is a key step then before we go on to half pass renvers travers. I think, yes, I think you emphasise that quite well. I think great.
Yeah, I think that this is what we have really to realize. And when we have the feeling how to ride a proper shoulder in on both hands, and when you do this, you will feel that this will be not so easy to do in a proper way on both hands. But when you do this, then you have for me the right feeling for classical riding and classical training. So then you get the feeling how to straighten the horse, because all horses are crooked. And shoulder in is the key movement. You said the word key. The key movement to straighten the horse, and the crooked others who are crooked never will be straight without asking for shoulder in. Therefore, this is for me indeed one of the key movements to straighten the horse. We have other key movements as well, but the most best key movement is shoulder in. At the end of the day, when you ride in canter, you have to straighten the horse in a way and always think at least the right shoulder in front, which is a little bit less angle. The horse is not so much coming with the front leg into the arena when you are on the track as if you ride a proper shoulder in. But it's a similar movement, maybe one step less effective as the proper shoulder in.
Yeah, I think that's something key as well, is that, you use shoulder in to straighten. You sort of think that because it's a lateral movement, you don't use it to straighten. It's used for different things, but it's a key movement to straighten. I think you said, and particularly in canter, if we've got the shoulder in established, then that's great. Now, actually riding those movements, the rider is able to ride leg yield and they'd like to learn to ride shoulder in. What's the step there? What skills does the rider need to know before they can ride shoulder in? This is a rider test, not the horse, but the rider. What does the rider need to know before they can start shoulder in?
Yeah, thank you for the question. Yeah, and I think that, first of all, I have to say that's always important. First of all, ask yourself as a rider and as a trainer, what has a rider to do before he's riding the movement or that movement. And therefore, most of the always ask, what has my horse to do before I train this or this? No, first of all, you have to ask yourself, what do you have to do? What do you have to have under control before you ask this or that? So now, what's important? Important is that the rider has first of all, position. The rider has to sit on both seat bones, supple, relaxed, and balanced in the saddle. So that's the very first thing, supple, without using the reins to balance his body, just the reins in the hand and having the feeling I listen with my fingers into the horse's mouth, but I don't use the reins to shorten the neck or to bring the horse in good contact, just as an example. So therefore, you have only to sit and to train and to be able to ride in the proper tempo. You have to be able to ride working trot and working canter and medium walk, and to be able to collect the horse a little bit, or to give the horse a little bit more energy in the working trot, which is necessary to ride lateral work. In this case, today we're talking about shoulder in. You need a little bit more energy before you start the shoulder in. So, and very important that the rider is able to sit, and I want to say, in the middle of the saddle and using both seat bones. It's not good, and it's wrong if the rider is sitting be more on the left seat bone, then he is crooked and brings not the weight exactly in the saddle in a proper way, so it's easy for the horse to balance the rider in the saddle. So therefore, that's very important. He has a feeling of this as well, to sit on both seat bones weights on both seat bones 50% left and 50% right. When he starts with shoulder in, and maybe it's quite good to do it first and walk, then he has to bring a little bit more weight on his inside seat bone, maybe from 50% to both sides to 60-70% when he is on the right hand side, on the right seat bone. And very important, he has to look a little bit with his head and his eyes to the right side, so that he moves his body a little bit now, when, as an example, a shoulder in right, a little bit to the right side. His shoulder goes, the left shoulder goes a little bit more up front, and the right shoulder a little bit backwards. That's very important. And with his hands, he has to be very, very soft with the inside hand, in this case, with the right hand, with the right rein. And then he has to use his inside leg in the position where the inside leg has to be. And then his outside leg is about 5 centimeters more backwards. And the outside leg to control the angle and has to control the tempo of the horse. And the feeling in the saddle is sitting a little bit more on the inside seat bone, looking to the right side, also when you are riding shoulder in right, and controlling everything, and controlling in a positive way with the outside rein, the outside hand, and with the outside leg. And this is the way we should do it. That's looking now from the rider's point of view, and you have to do the practices maybe on the right hand side, then on the left hand side, and you will see that from the rider's point of view, it's not easy to do it to both sides. And similar with the horses as well. They have one side which is the easier side, and one side which is a little bit more challenge. But this is part of life. We are left and right-handed, the right hand or left hand, and similar with the horses as well. So therefore, we have to accept it, and we have to train horses in a friendly way and not against the horse when we have the feeling that the horse doesn't be sensitive enough to our age.
Okay. I think just the way that you talk about sensitivity and the very slightly, and it's not forcing the horse over, it's just asking and feeling that the horse goes in the right direction. But Christoph, we've got the difference between leg yield and shoulder in. We understand now what the judge needs to see and what level the rider needs to be at, what skills they need before they can start to go in and train shoulder in. But what can go wrong? The sort of mistakes. So you as a judge and as a coach, What sort of mistakes do you see and how can we correct them?
First of all, position. Also, when the rider has not the right position in the saddle, then it will not work. That's step one. Step two is horse and the rider has a feeling that how to use his driving aids, forward driving aids, and how to use his sideways driving aids. That's the second thing. And the third thing is that the rider is able to ride and to sit and to swing a good working job, because when you do lateral work, in this case shoulder in, you have to be able to do it with good activity, and you need a little bit more impulsion when you start your lateral work. In this case, your shoulder in, because in the lateral work, in this case, shoulder in, you lose normally a little bit of impulsion. So therefore, you have to be able to produce, before you start shoulder in, a little bit more of energy, more of impulsion to maintain the same rhythm, the same regularity, the same cadence, the same swinging, and the same quality of the gaits, in this case, the trot, when you start with shoulder in. And then what I had explained, then you have to sit and ride a little bit more on the inside seat bone, and you have to swing and your pelvis into the horse's movement, and you have to use your inside leg in the rhythm how the horse is moving. But when the inside leg comes a little bit more into the direction of the inside leg of the horse, to the direction of the center of gravity situation, the inside leg, the rider has to ask a little bit, just in the rhythm, so that the horse will bring his inside leg a little bit more into the direction of center of gravity, as it would do it if the rider wouldn't ask. So that's for me very important, that the rider gets his feeling, and then he has to be very, very soft with his inside rein, and he never use the inside rein to bend and flex the horse to the inside, which is against the direction of movement in shoulder in, what I had explained at the beginning of the podcast. And therefore, he has to be very, very soft with his rein, and has to have the feeling. Although first of all, we have to realize that the contact which I between my hands and the horse's mouth via rein is the result of the activity of the hind legs. The more active the horse is from behind, the more the horse is using the hind legs, the more the rider is able to produce activity in the hind legs with his own legs, with his own driving aids. The more soft the horse will be in the contact. And I think that's a general advice from my point of view. When something goes wrong, the horse loses balance, or is losing balance. The horse will not have a steady contact to the bit, is not accepting the bit, is against the bit, or is overbent, or things like this. Or the horse is losing rhythm, regularity, impulsion, and so on. Or the horse is too much flexed just in the neck to the inside. Or is not flexed enough. First of all, you have to ask yourself as a rider, is this a general? Is it a problem which I can fix in the movement or it's a challenge which I have to fix without getting this movement or other movements. I think it's similar to what I'm telling you and explaining now. I explain it now from the shoulder in point of view. I can explain it from other exercises point of view in a similar way. And this, the rider has to realize a general problem or it's just a specific problem of this exercise. If it's a general problem, stop the movement and just work to fix this problem. That's very important to do it in this way. If it's, on the other hand, just a small, tiny problem in the movement, horse is tilted, horse is not accepting enough the inside leg, horse is a little bit strong at the inside rein, horse is not accepting enough the outside rein, just as a small. If it's just a small problem, you can try to fix it in the movement itself. But if it's a major problem, don't try to fix this in the movement. First, do your basic work and then start again with this movement or with other movements. I think that's very important. And therefore, this is something a trainer, a coach, a riding instructor has to explain his or her rider. And the riders have to get the right sensitivity for these kind of training. And we need riders who try to think and think about the process, what they are doing, and not just doing something. We need people who live our sport and always think, what can I do better as a rider, and how can I explain my horse more and more what's right and what's wrong. Often we have problems because there is a problem in the communication between the rider and the horse will not understand what the rider wishes to do. And if it's like this, then better to come back to the basic things, to make these basic things better, and then start again. This is, what's nearly 100% the best advice can.
Okay, I'm just writing down. You give so much information here that, I have to keep up a bit, Christoph. I'm writing down, just about going back to the basic movements, which I understand because, very much you talk about returning to basics and the foundations and everything. Look, I think, and this is for our listeners, there's no one better in the world, I think, to talk about this, than Christoph. He's there, he's an international judge, very well qualified, and just very generous with his time. So again, Christoph, I've got to say thank you so much for coming in. We've been talking about leg yield and shoulder in today, but I would love to next chat, because you did sort of introduce and say about shoulder in and then going on to renvers travers half pass. So if we can go on and discuss those, I'll certainly be looking forward to talking to you some more about dressage. Just really enjoy these chats. Love them. Yeah, and I'm sure that our listeners will get so much benefit out of this as well. Riders, coaches and judges. Thank you again and look forward to catching up with you again soon.
Yeah, thank you indeed. And have a good time, stay healthy. And yes, I would love to continue our talk because it's a very big world and we have a lot of different exercises and subjects we can discuss. And maybe we have a new chat. And take care, all the best, and bye, family.
Okay, thank you very much. Good to talk to you, Christoph. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye.
If you've enjoyed this chat, then please comment, rate and subscribe. If you'd like any changes or recommendations for guests, then please contact us through horsechats.com. And while you're online, have a look at the government-accredited courses at internationalhorsecollege.com. Registered Training Organisation 31352.
Remember that our comments and instructions are general in nature and do not take into consideration your individual horses or your individual ability and circumstances. If you enjoyed this podcast, then please leave your comment below.